Please welcome to the stage your Master of Ceremonies for the 2022 Alumni Awards, Dr. Ray Martin.
Thank you very much indeed. And our thanks to the KG Trio for the musical interlude. We'll have them again a bit later. Hello everybody and welcome to the 2022 Alumni Awards. I used to be Ray Martin. Tonight I'm Dr. Ray Martin. Thanks to the generosity of the Chancellor a couple of years ago. There's a certain ring to it, but by whatever name, I am your MC tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome everybody to the Great Hall for this wonderful celebration of leadership, inspiration, and extraordinary achievement as well. Before we begin, a little bit of housekeeping. For those who use a hearing aid, we have installed what's called a hearing loop here tonight. Please switch your hearing device to the T position, and any problems that you have, our team will be very happy to help you. Mobile phones, don't forget, please put them on silent. Bathrooms, men need to go, outside the hall through the first door on my right there, the men's bathroom. For ladies, it's a little easier, as it should be. Halfway down the hall, through that middle door, is where the ladies' bathroom is. All right, let's begin to invite Benjamin Mcgrory for the acknowledgement of country. Benjamin is a Camaragal man from across the harbour. He is currently studying for his arts and law degree at the university. Would you please welcome Benjamin Mcgrory.
Welcome everyone to today. As a Camaragal man, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land on which the University of Sydney stands, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders both past, present and emerging, and I extend my warm welcome to all Indigenous people here today. I'd like to thank the University of Sydney for inviting me here to say a few words. Australian society is on the verge of turning a page in our nation's history so that we can be one country united with a common goal, a common identity and culture. The announcement by the newly elected Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, to commit to the Uluru Statement from the heart and to hold a referendum to give Aboriginal people a voice in the Constitution is the key to turning that page in our country's history. The Uluru Statement, an Indigenous voice protected in the Constitution, will change the direction of Australia. It will elevate our fight for sovereignty by ensuring that institutions of power respect our land and our living connection to this land, protect our languages, and force governments and the legal system to consult with us, to break down and remove the barriers that trap our people in poverty, jail, and outside the global society that we live in. This year's Reconciliation Week theme is Be Brave, Make Change. When I look into the audience, I recognise leadership and bravery within our alumni. Be brave, make change is an important statement to consider because we all come from various walks of life and are making waves of change to empower others and end inequality. Therefore, I ask you to hold on to your bravery and courage and to have conversations around issues that affect vulnerable Australians and marginalised communities. When I first came to this university, I was empowered to find my voice and cultural identity as an LGBTI+ Indigenous Australian, thanks to the guidance and leadership of our alumni and leaders. I recognise two amazing alumni in the audience tonight that have been inspiration to me and other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students at the University of Sydney. Michael Mossman, who has pioneered Indigenous voices within the field of architecture and within the Faculty of Architecture as Associate Dean, thank you for being a role model to me and us. I also see Katie Moore. Katie was the first known Aboriginal person to gain and graduate with a Masters of Business Administration and is a trailblazer in her work at the Sydney Policy Lab, working with community and industry to break down the social, cultural and economic barriers between our community and non-Indigenous Australians. I previously worked with Katie on my interdisciplinary project, exploring the impacts of what would be the impacts of universal basic income on Indigenous women. Katie's insight changed my perceptions on what social justice will look like in contemporary Australia and how Indigenous Australians must have pathways into our global society, equal opportunity in corporate, and to have a voice and have a fair go. The community here tonight inspired me to strive to be a positive voice and an advocate for Indigenous communities within the banking and financial services sector. Indigenous communities are underrepresented and are faced with accessibility barriers in accessing financial products and seeking employment from the sector. I'd like to thank Katie, Michael, and all the winners tonight for inspiring me. Remember, be brave, have conversations, ask the difficult questions, and don't be afraid. This is what our alumni at Sydney University are known for and how change is made. Thank you, and congratulations to our award winners and our talented alumni here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. You missed me. My great-great-grandmother was a Mcgrory woman who lived to 104 years of age, and I'm very proud of her. Now I'd like to formally welcome the Chancellor, Belinda Hutchinson, AC, the Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Mark Scott, AO, our members of the Senate who are present tonight with us, members of the Alumni Council, Deans, members of the University academic community, and of course tonight's big winners, along with their guests, people who've come tonight. Welcome everybody here. I have only fond memories of my years here at Sydney University, back in the early 1960s in the turbulent times of Germaine Greer and Clive James and Richard Neville and some other colourful characters who were here when I was here. I got an arts degree and I began an honours degree with hopes of being a professor of history here one day. But the ABC called, so I jumped the fence and I became a journalist instead. A crooked but hugely rewarding career path, kick-started by this university. I'm forever grateful. I'll certainly retain my obsession with history, especially Australian history. I think I would have been a good professor. Tonight, the Alumni Awards honour the exceptional achievements of some of our established graduates. It's a good reason, good excuse if you like, to reflect on their extraordinary careers and their lifetime passions. Tonight we also are recognising some outstanding recent graduates, excuse my voice, who are in a sense beginning their exciting life journey. We'll avoid handshaking tonight for sensible COVID reasons, which you'll understand. You'll see from your programs more of the truly inspirational stories about the 2022 award winners, but I'll make mention of some of their CV highlights. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Chancellor, Belinda Hutchinson, AC.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. And welcome everybody. It's just so good to see our great hall full again. It's just a joy for me, and I know it's a joy for all of our university community. And Benjamin, I would just like to say thank you. You are a hard act to follow because I know your story. You are brave and you do make change, and I know you're going to continue to do that. And we're very proud of you, and we're also very proud of all our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, and we want to give more of your people the opportunity to come to our university so they can take on leadership roles, as you've mentioned. And I would like to join Benjamin in acknowledging and paying my respects to the Gadigal people and the elders past, present and emerging, because they have been teaching and learning on these lands and forming community, and we want to carry on their great traditions. This Alumni Awards presentation ceremony is one of my favourite events of the year. It is always truly inspirational for me, and I'm sure it'll be truly inspirational for you. But it's just so much better being back here rather than being on Zoom. I know we did a good job on Zoom, and I congratulate the team, but actually being here together and being able to share experiences and meet everybody in person, for me, is really, really special. And I'd like to call out welcomes to our Alumni Council President, Dr. Geordie Nording, who's here with us today. And sadly, Cam Gosh, who's our Deputy, is unable to be here because he's unwell, but I'd like to welcome the other members of Council. And I'd like to also recognise that we've got a number of our past presidents and deputy presidents. Sadly, Annie Corlett's unwell, so she can't be with us. But I think we have Peter Shaw here, and I think we have Janet Donald here as well. So welcome to you, and thank you for your ongoing support of our university. And I just have to say a big thank you to Dr. Ray for joining us tonight. I know you're proud of your university, but we're very proud of you. And it's great to have you back here in the Great Hall, because the last time you were here, we did confer on you your honorary doctorate, which was an absolutely fitting reward for Ray's extraordinary contribution to journalism in Australia. And we were having a wonderful conversation earlier this evening about a documentary that he's doing on COVID, which will be out soon, and I won't share any more stories, but I think it'll be absolutely a must-watch for everybody. It's great that we've got so many of our award winners and our medalists here tonight. Sadly, some are obviously from overseas are not able to join us, but we've got representatives here to receive their awards, and also they're going to give us some video presentations, so I think we'll still have them here in spirit with us. And for me, this evening is absolutely representative of what our university is all about. We constantly talk and espouse about being about leadership for good. And this evening and the awards and presentations we will make tonight really demonstrate that absolutely to the core, because the people that we're rewarding and acknowledging tonight are those who are out there doing incredible work in community, in real service. They absolutely represent the mission and the values of our institution, and that's why we want to recognise them tonight. That's why we want to get them together, and that's why I think we need to celebrate what they're doing, because it's a fantastic example to everybody. And I think the thing that really encourages me is that I found out from Rosie Ogilvie that we have, of 28 award winners recently over the last few years, 28 of them have gone on to be recognised in Australian Day Honours or Queen's Birthday Honours. So we sort of think we're actually capturing this gold and this talent just ahead of everybody else. So we're first to see them, and we know what they're doing, and we're very, very proud of them. But of course, our university is a place of discovery of ideas, of innovation, of research that's really important to solve the critical problems of the world. But it's wonderful when our alums go out and do that in the world and continue to represent our university, and then continue to come back with us and continue to work with us. And one of the things that I think about this evening is really important, and something that I don't think we necessarily thought about when we set up these awards, is that it's provided a great opportunity to bring alumni together so that they continue to do their work and actually leverage what they've been doing on their own. And I'd like to just give you a few examples of that. So at the 2018 Alumni Awards here in this very hall, we had Moet Talani, who was the Young Alumni Award winner and who's a passionately minded community dental healthcare professional. And he met with Professor Rose Mcgrory, who's a maternal health service provider, educator, and she was the winner of the Service to Humanity Alumni Award. Their conversation inspired Mohit to travel with Rose to provide vital dental services on the Myanmar-Thailand border to refugees. And just a fantastic outcome from a one-evening introduction. And then at the 2017 awards, maths teacher and Wu Chu founder Eddie Wu, another alum, who was the Australian local hero of the 2018 Australian of the Year Awards, he sat next to Annabelle Chauncey, who's a not-for-profit leader, who had gone on to set up an education program and be a great change maker in Uganda. And that evening, they bonded about their mutual passion about education. And the next year, Eddie travelled with Annabelle to Africa to teach some of the most disadvantaged students in Uganda at the schools, the 3 schools that Annabelle has set up with her team. Another great outcome. And then last year, we brought together 2 former winners, a social entrepreneur and sustainability leader, Joanne Odd, who's here, who I said hello to as we came in. And Joanna came up with a fantastic product, which is using sustainable products to provide insulation for delivery of goods, frozen goods to people, and it's just a fantastic product. But we introduced her at that night to another award winner, the world-leading pathologist, Professor Richard Scolyer. And both of them are deeply involved with the Melanoma Institute of Australia, which is part of the University of Sydney, but they hadn't actually met each other. And Joanne is an ambassador for that, and Richard is the co-director. And so, as a result of them meeting together, they are now working in the vital role of advocacy around melanoma research and actually early engagement and prevention of melanomas. Because melanoma is extraordinary in terms of its impact on our society in Australia, but is very, very poorly understood in our communities. But I think that partnership of Joanne and Richard is something which will really help the advocacy and understanding of that disease and make a real difference. So those were the 3 stories I wanted to share with you. Before we get underway, I just want to have a very special thank you to those who are involved in the selection process and reviewing and doing the due diligence on our award winners and medalists tonight. It's a huge amount of work to go through reviewing all of those candidates and then having the really, really hard job of actually judging who's the very best, because there's just so many inspirational leaders amongst our alumni. So thank you for the work you do. Thank you also for all of those who've nominated and provided references for our awardees tonight. Again, a really important role for us. So thank you all for everything you do for us as a university. We're incredibly grateful. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you after we've had the formal ceremony. This is my favourite night of the year. Thanks so much.
Thank you kindly, Chancellor. Thank you for what you do too. I should mention we do have some guests this evening who will be collecting awards on behalf of recipients who are overseas or away at the moment. We also have a couple of video messages from people we'll show you. But let's begin proceedings. Our Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Mark Scott, will also present the 6 highly sought-after graduate medals. The recipients will come up here to the stage for the awards. There'll be a photo with Mark and a group of photographs later. We'll then announce the 6 Alumni Achievement Awards. The Chancellor will present those awards and will invite each person to speak briefly to us tonight. We'll finish the evening with a message from Professor Scott, after which you're welcome to please stay and celebrate and socialise while refreshments are being served, and we'll take a few more photographs. Before we meet our first graduate medal winners, I'd like to invite the President of the Alumni Council, Dr. Jodie Lording, CSM, to the stage. The Council plays, as the Chancellor said, an integral role in supporting these alumni awards and also judging the nominations. So would you please welcome Dr. Jodie Lording.
Thank you too, Dr. Ray, from myself. It's wonderful to have you here this evening. May I start by welcoming you all to this wonderful celebration of excellence within our University of Sydney community. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional land in which we meet this evening and acknowledge the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and recognise the elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge our Chancellor, Belinda Hutchinson AC, the Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Mark Scott AO, the Senate Fellows and senior professional and academic leaders who have joined us this evening, as well as our past and current Alumni Council members, our generous volunteers and donors, fellow alumni, family, friends, and of course, the recipients of our 2022 Graduate Medals and Alumni Awards. After the past couple of years, it is great to be able to celebrate remarkable achievement here, in person, in the Great Hall. I'm sure for many of you, there are some fabulous memories of being in the Great Hall. As a Conservatorium of Music graduate, the first time I came into this hall was in fact after 4 years at my graduation. But luckily, I have had the great pleasure of being in this remarkable space many times since. Us con artists were very aware of some of the iconic places here on the big campus, like the Great Hall, Fisher Library, and of course the Jacaranda Tree. But as we lived and breathed a campus at the other end of the city, our fond memories are wedded in the building very affectionately known as the Horse Stables and the surrounding Botanic Gardens. For those not familiar with the con was in fact the Horse Stables to Government House, a couple of 100 metres north of the site, there in northern part of the city. And the area that is now the main concert hall was in fact the exercise area for the government's horses, governor's horses. And our practice rooms were the Horse Stables. There is, of course, no end of jokes at the expense of musicians and horses alike for that. Of course, you know, I went there before the wonderful renovations, and so the Horse Stables were very hard to get hold of for practice time, and invariably we'd end up in the Botanic Gardens, making a lot of ruckus and generally annoying the general public and the groundskeepers. We'd often see a cranky groundskeeper starting to stomp up the hill towards us, at which point we frantically packed away some instruments, packed away some music and did the runner to avoid conflict. The Botanic Gardens was our Jacaranda Tree experience, perhaps a little bit more noisy and undoubtedly a lot more exercise. And after 4 years of very dedicated practice, perhaps a little bit of study and a lot of running, I graduated from the Conservatorium and became a part of the alumni fraternity of the University of Sydney. So today, as Ray kindly mentioned, it is my great privilege and honour to be the President of the Alumni Council. The Council has represented University of Sydney graduates for over 80 years, and we have had some wonderful leaders over that time, and I too would like to pay my tributes for the contributions from Janet Donald and Peter Shaw, who are with us tonight. Our Council's purpose is to deliver an alumni relations program that strengthens and engages our alumni community and also contributes to the university's vision. We are looking forward to supporting the university as it now looks to create its 10-year strategy taking us through to 2032, and I cannot wait to see what greatness is achieved and the role the Alumni Council will play in that as we continue to strengthen and engage our alumni community. Over my short 5-year period in the Council, I have been incredibly fortunate to be in the company of a diverse, passionate and talented group of individuals who each bring their own professional and academic expertise that enriches and helps us to contribute and give back to the university. The Alumni Awards is one of the ways in which we do that, and I can say judging the annual Alumni Awards is one of our proudest and most rewarding responsibilities, although it is also one of our most challenging due to the enormous talent and diversity of the nominations. We receive hundreds of nominations every year, and it really demonstrates that there is no shortage of excellence coming from the University of Sydney. I'm sure the stories that you will hear tonight will absolutely inspire you. And I need to thank our university colleagues who contributed and supported the nominations process and judging, as well as my council colleagues for your ongoing commitment to the university and also your efforts in judging the nominees. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a most enjoyable evening, and to our award winners, I hope you are able to take the opportunity to really celebrate your remarkable achievements. I'm sure there is so much more to come and we can't wait to see it. All the very best.
Thank you, Dr. Jody, very much indeed. And sincere thanks to you and to your hard-working Alumni Council. Now, first up, let me just tell you quickly about the graduate medals we're about to hand out. They were first established by Sydney University in 1980 with the Convocation Medal. They're named in honour of some of our most inspiring alumni and friends, which includes 2 Nobel Prize recipients, an Olympian, New South Wales' first Aboriginal midwife, and a legendary pioneer. The graduate medal recipients you'll meet tonight as well are clearly our leaders of tomorrow, investing and sharing their extraordinary research and their knowledge and their talents for the benefit of everybody. So let's welcome the Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Mark Scott AO, to present the 2022 graduate medals. Mark? We begin with the, the 2022 Convocation Medal for Undergraduate Leadership. It's awarded to Olivia Morris for her excellence and dedication as a lawyer who was passionate about gender equality, the evolving media environment, and is committed to public service litigation. Olivia was responsible for a team that, amongst other great works, reviewed 7,000 sexual assault survivor testimonials, which ultimately contributed to Chanel Qantas's work to change the consent law in New South Wales. In 2020, Olivia won the Clayton Utz Senior Negotiations Competition. She was a regional finalist in EY's 2018 Corporate Finance Woman of the Year competition, and she graduated with first-class honours, also receiving the University Medal. Olivia is currently serving as a lawyer in Allen's Disputes and Investigations team after starting at that firm in 2018. Would you please welcome Olivia Morris. Congratulations, Olivia. Now, can I just say, before I announce the winner of the 2022 Edmund Barton Medal for Postgraduate Leadership, as a commitment to what's now called truth and reconciliation, we must acknowledge past mistakes by this university's founders, which still negatively impact life in Australia today for many people. For example, Sir Edmund Barton, our first Prime Minister, and an alumnus of Sydney University, was one of the colonial architects of the overtly racist white Australia policy in the 1880s and 1890s and at the turn of the century at Federation. Today, of course, this university is a place that strives to recognise, to respect and value all people. As Benjamin Mcgrory said so eloquently earlier tonight, we especially acknowledge and pay our deep respects to the Gadigal people of this land and, in fact, to all Indigenous people. So that's by way of background and also by way of acknowledgement. The 2022 Edmund Barton Medal for Postgraduate Leadership has been awarded to Katie Moore for her passion to shape meaningful change in the lives of people and communities, people who need to be heard. Katie is a highly sought-after strategic advisor who's helped with Indigenous policy across the university's faculties. As a project manager at Sydney Policy Lab, Katie brings together academic and community partners to shape projects that address social, economic and environmental justice. Katie was a recipient of the UN Women's National Committee Australia MBA Scholarship, where she recently became the university's first, as Ben mentioned, university's first Indigenous MBA graduate. Katie proudly identifies herself with her Aboriginal heritage of the Wiradjuri people in central New South Wales, and she lives on Darug land here in Western Australia. Would you please welcome Katie Moore. The 2022 John Harsanyay Medal for Innovation is awarded to Dr. Vimaran Manakara for his excellent contributions to Society as the head of the Minds Institute, that's the movement for the intellectually disabled of Singapore, which brings applied research and real innovation to disability services. He led the establishment of the Disability Research Coalition with support from the National Council of Social Services, the NCSS, to drive research and innovation across the whole disability sector. Dr. Vimalan also led the initiative to establish Singapore's first self-advocacy project for people with IDD, which will now be replicated across other disability support organisations. While he studied at the University of Sydney, he achieved first place in surgical anatomy and microsurgery, Master of Surgery, and completed his PhD in the development of a framework for sustainable employment for persons with disabilities. Would you please welcome Dr. Vimalan Manakora and his little boy as well. I'm sorry he didn't have his name earlier on. The 2022 Nigel C. Barker Medal for Sporting Achievement is awarded to William Ryan for his international sporting excellence as a highly successful sailor. That's a mighty understatement. Will, who's been competing since he was 13, won silver in the 2016 Rio Olympics and a gold medal in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Currently, he is ranked number 1 in the 470 yachting class and is also the 2014, 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019 470 class world champion. I have no idea what happened in 2016. He obviously went missing or fell off the boat. Will has also represented Australia and the University of Sydney at the World University Games. He, probably more importantly, is a very active sailing contributor with disabled children. Will is involved in wonderful community initiatives like Get Into Sailing, again for disabled people, and Sailability, Sailors with Disabilities. William Ryan has been awarded the Nigel C. Barker Medal tonight for sporting. He can't be here, but his medal is going to be collected by his dad, Mr. Frank Ryan. Mr. Ryan? So Frank, where was he in 2016? Did he go missing in 2016? Or was he training hard for the Olympics? The 2022 Rita and John Cornforth Medal for Research Excellence is awarded to Dr. Nikki Ann Wilson for her significant contribution to the field of dementia research and her passion to support a diverse and inclusive academic community. She has been widely recognised for many first author papers across a range of academic journals. She has received numerous awards for her research, including the Brain and Mind Centre Research Excellence and Impact Award, along with Best Presentation Awards at the Australasian Cognitive Neuroscience Society and the Sydney Postgraduate Psychology Conferences. Her experience as HDR student liaison and communications coordinator helped lead to a cross-sector dementia prevention collaboration between science and the arts. Her academic service was recognised by being awarded the Faculty of Science Postgraduate Research Prize for Leadership from the University of Sydney. Would you please welcome and congratulate Dr. Nikki Ann Wilson. Congratulations. And the 2022 Sister Anne Bush Medal for Contribution to Indigenous Community is awarded to Michael Mossman, who Edmund mentioned, for his outstanding architectural projects and advocacy of First Nations concerns in the design environment. Michael was appointed Associate Dean, Indigenous, in this School of Architecture in 2020. He's one of the only a handful of Indigenous architecture PhD graduates in Australia. Since his appointment, he has reimagined the delivery of core Indigenous units across the School of Architecture, whilst at the same time completing his PhD. Outside the university, Michael has leveraged his academic position to engage with industry and the profession as co-chair of the Australian Institute of Architects, the AIA Reconciliation Working Group. That's been for the past 4 years. In that role, he initiated the preparation of a reconciliation action plan. Michael's also a member, what more can you do? He's a member of the First Nations Advisory Working Group and the Cultural Reference Panel. Would you please welcome and congratulate Michael Mossman. Congratulations, Michael. You wonder, don't you, with these good people, what they do in their spare time. I'd like to welcome, ask the Chancellor to the stage as well for a group photograph with the Vice-Chancellor and the 2020 winners, 2022 winners and representatives, please. Just asked, and the little boy is 3, if you're wondering. Our congratulations to all of our recipients tonight. We'll move on now to the next part of the ceremony as we recognise and celebrate the accomplishments of the Alumni Achievement Award winners. Sorry about my throat. Established in 1992, these highly prestigious awards celebrate our leaders in today's society. They recognise the accomplishments of our graduates who have a passion in their chosen profession, men and women who have enriched the lives of others locally and globally through their exceptional talents. Some former winners include Robin Gwynn Alders, AO, who won the Alumni Award for International Achievement in 2011. You're nodding, Jodie. Robin went on to become the first female veterinary scientist to be made an officer of the Order of Australia. Dr. Patricia Selkirk, AM, won the 2017 Alumni Award for Professional Achievement and later won the 2018 Philip Law Medal for her significant contributions to Antarctic science. This is just the range of people who've won these awards. Last year's Young Alumni Award winner was Dr. Anastasia Volkova, who was the founder and CEO of Regrow. She's now a member of the highly prestigious Forbes Technology Council. And the winner of the 2018 Alumni Award for Innovative and Entrepreneurship, Nick Molnar, is the co-founder of Afterpay. He is considered the youngest Australian self-made billionaire. Tonight's winners follow in their footsteps, maybe not all as self-made billionaires, but they do certainly exemplify the kind of graduates we hope that all our students will become, changing the world for the better. I'd like to welcome back Chancellor Belinda Hutchinson, AC, to present the 2022 Alumni Achievement Awards. And the first award to be presented is the Alumni Award for International Achievement. This award recognises the outstanding contributions that alumni have made to international society through community service or professional achievements, which have made significant global impact. And the 2022 International Achievement Award is presented to Nini Borges. Within a year of graduating from Sydney Law School, Nini played a key role in the Timor-Leste legal team negotiating the Timor Sea Treaty with the Australian government. Their work and her work resulted in the lion's share of the natural resources rightfully going to Timor-Leste. Nini returned to Timor-Leste to bring her knowledge and dedication to support that country in its journey to independence. She spent 7 years as an advisor to their Prime Minister and the Minister for Natural Resources, drafting and shaping legislation. She is currently a member of the Executive Management Team, looking at solutions to accelerate energy transitions in accordance with the Paris Agreement, and a director for the International Association of Energy Negotiators. Again, a very busy woman. Would you please welcome Nini Borges to accept her award.
After that for me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It means a great deal to me to be able to travel from London to be here tonight. An honour which I can truly say is beyond words, especially when I reflect on my humble beginnings, where I never imagined in my pocket full of dreams that I would be standing here today. Receiving the award, the news of the award, took me back 25 years to when I received the news that I was accepted into law at Sydney University. Back in 1996, it was through the newspapers that we found out that you were accepted into university before you received a letter in the post. Yes, I feel old. I remember vividly that evening when I was driving with my sister to the Shell petrol station, anxiously waiting to scour through the Herald and see if my name was there. No words can describe that exuberating feeling when I saw LLB and University of Sydney next to my name. I must say, I didn't think I could relive that feeling again until recently when I received the email from the Alumni Council. My sincere thanks to the Council and to the University for this prestigious award. I would also like to thank Dr. Penny Crossley, Associate Professor of Law here at the University, for my nomination, encouraging words, and tremendous support. My acquaintance with Dr. Crossley was by chance. I first came to know of her through a work colleague that she had presented to visiting law students from the University of Sydney, which had been arranged by Dr. Crossley. I was extremely excited to hear this and made some contact with her. We then met in Norway in 2017, where I had the opportunity to reconnect with the law school and to share my experiences with the energy law students. I was so pleased to hear that half of the cohort that actually attended that energy practice course later on went on to study energy and practice law. The best part of that news was that they were all women. My time at the university was life-changing. I learned to define my interests, build a network, and make lifelong friends. I also came to a couple of conclusions. I wanted to use my skills to help others and I also realized that corporate law wasn't really my cup of tea. Well, so I thought. What I didn't know then was that I could combine my desire to work on humanitarian issues together with commercial law and achieve greater impact. My journey as a lawyer started back when things began for me in life, in Timor-Leste. My parents fled the country during the war in 1975, when I was only 6 months old. We took refuge in Portugal and then in Australia. I then returned to Dili for the first time on the HMAS Jervis Bay in 1999. At that time, there were no commercial flights, and the Australian Army were allowing civilians on the ships back to Timor. Landing in Dili, a city burning from Indonesia's scorched earth policy, I came head to head with the enormity of what was the task ahead. As a young law graduate, I knew my qualifications could be put to use helping Timor-Leste achieve a dream a dream of my family and community during the years of occupation. But I could never have imagined that I would become part of the team who negotiated the Timor Sea Treaty and the subsequent arrangements, which led to the international recognition of Timor-Leste's sovereignty over the natural resources. This provided the basis for petroleum income to contribute to the development of the country and for future generations. And having a part of this can only be described as a very personal, once-in-a-lifetime challenge and opportunity. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Timor-Leste's restoration of independence, and I'm so pleased that I've been able to be part of that small history. Seeing the role that Norway played in bringing international best practice in petroleum management further expanded my horizons on how I could extend my reach to other countries. And it is fitting that after completing my law degree, my Masters of Laws in London, that I went on to work with Equinor, a leading Norwegian energy company that is at the forefront of making bold changes when it comes to addressing energy transition. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues at Equinor, Sivelene Torstenstein, who's the General Counsel, and Al Cook, who's the Executive Vice President for International Exploration and Production, for supporting my nomination and also for being instrumental in my development and success in the company. In Equinor, I've had the opportunity to work on sustainability and just transition, as well as renewable energy. I'm passionate about diversity and equality, and in my journey, I have learnt that driving change is sometimes more effective from the inside. That is why I believe this puts me in a position where I can and should give back to future generations. As the world continues to demand clean and sustainable energy, I am fortunate to be in a position in Equinor where I can help drive policies and strategies to contribute to a transition which is focused and accelerated. But let me conclude here by saying my successes are not mine alone. I would like to say a huge thank you to my family and close friends who have been with me for the journey, with a special mention to those here tonight. To my husband, Kurt, and children, Sienna and Gabriel, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for tolerating the long hours and absent days. Your love and support continuously inspire me to do my best. Finally, I would not be here tonight if it wasn't for the selfless act of my parents, Zachary and Isabel. They escaped war, moved to a country where they didn't know the language, and worked several jobs to ensure that not only I, but all of my siblings, and there are many of us, received a first-class education. A simple yet powerful instrument which has changed all our lives. Without their sacrifices, my dreams would still be in my pocket. This I dedicate to them. Thank you.
Congratulations, Beanie. I think if it was in a legal battle, I'd want you on my side, I think. The Alumni Award now for Professional Achievement, again recognises truly outstanding work, and the 2022 Alumni Award for Professional Achievement is presented to Dr. David Skillern AO. Dr. David Skillern is an Australian electronic engineer and a computer scientist. with a doctorate in radio astronomy instrumentation. Along with colleagues, he's credited with the first chipset implementation of the IEEE 802.11a wireless networking standard. Now, you're all wondering what this is, aren't you? If you don't know. It's an innovation that has been described as nothing short of a revolution in world communications, paving the way for high-speed wireless communications. His son's sort of nodding as though he knows what it is. Throughout this illustrious career, David has been motivated by the desire to see science and engineering used for the good of humanity and for public service. Unfortunately, David can't be with us tonight. He's travelling up the Kimberley with his wife, but he has recorded a video message. Have a look.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of the University Senate and Alumni Council, Dr. Martin, fellow awardees, ladies and gentlemen. I feel immensely honoured that my professional achievements are being recognised by this award. It was so unexpected and I felt a real thrill when I learned of it. I expect other awardees tonight might feel the same. Congratulations to each of you on your outstanding achievements. Many thanks to my nominators, Professor Donna Waters and Andrew Lapone, for thinking me worthy of the award. I'm deeply grateful to my wife Josephine for her love, care, encouragement and strong support throughout my career. More than anything else, that has allowed me to pursue my professional dreams. Thanks also to our children for their love and for being the wonderful people they are. Matthew, Anna and Jeremy are with you tonight, and I note that they and Josephine are all University of Sydney alumni. Jo and I regret that we could not attend the award ceremony as we're on a long-planned 10-week four-wheel drive trip across Northern Australia. I'm grateful for the many opportunities given to me and for the many things I've learnt from so many people during my 2 decades at this great university. The foundations gained in my undergraduate degrees, the ways and philosophies of electronic system development encompassed in my doctorate, and as a staff member, the practice of working in teams, how to choose the right problems to work on, foster a collaborative and innovative work culture, and inspire colleagues and students to shoot for the stars. These lessons have propelled my career since departing the university in 1989. I want to give special thanks to Dr. Bob Frater, supervisor of my honours thesis and PhD, who drew me back to the university from my first engineering job. Bob has been a lifelong mentor and had a hand in many of my professional activities. Pretty well all of the successes in my career have been achieved in teams of fabulously talented people. It's been a privilege working with them and I thank them all. Thank you for this wonderful award.
Yes, indeed. And as David mentioned that his 3 children are here tonight, and his eldest, Matthew, is here to accept the award. Please come up, Matthew. Congratulations, and thank you, Matthew, for accepting. We move on now to the Alumni Award for Cultural Contribution, which recognises alumni who achieve excellence in arts, creative sectors and culture, or whose efforts promote the understanding and valuing of cultural diversity. The 2022 Alumni Award for Cultural Contribution is presented to Suhanya Rafael. Suhanya has over 30 years of experience as a museum curator and leader. She was previously the Deputy Director of the Art Gallery of New South Wales, where she was responsible for pretty much for the Australian and international art collection. Her career has had worldwide connections and powerful connections, building collections and leading major art exhibitions in Australia, in the United States and in Hong Kong, where she is currently the Museum Director at M+ Gallery. In 2020, Suhanya was given a major arts award by the Republic of France. She is not able to be with us tonight, but collecting the award on her behalf will be her brother, and we have a short message, a video message from her.
It is an honour to be conferred this Alumni Award. Looking back, the years I spent at Sydney University were critical and formative. My interest in the arts and culture, in languages and society, were all part of my education there. How this was socialized through friendships, as well as in the environment of learning, was and still is a spirit I carry with me today. It was then a deeply cosmopolitan experience, and one that shaped me in profound ways. I was surrounded at the Power Institute by great scholars. Professor Virginia Speight provided a mentoring figure, a woman who worked across academia and museum worlds, who encouraged fearless curiosity and open engagement. My explorations at the Nicholson Museum and the Tin Sheds were as important, especially the latter, who provided that key intersection between the visual and architecture through contemporary forms of cross-disciplinary expressions. I simply loved my years at Sydney University. It grew in me my desire to engage with the worlds of culture while giving me the confidence to advocate for developing broader, inclusive, and diverse perspectives about art and architecture. This continues to empower my work today here in Hong Kong as the museum director at M+, to champion important new thinking and ways of seeing. This is the work of the university too, and the Alumni Award is therefore one that I share with all of my teachers and colleagues. Thank you.
Again, congratulations. And Chancellor Suhanya's brother, Adam Raphael, is here to accept her award. Congratulations. Thank you, Adam, very much indeed. Okay, the Alumni Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship recognises alumni who are forward-thinking leaders in their industry, profession, or their field of research, or area of expertise. The award celebrates the visionary and the daring across any field, which is a big call, isn't it? The 2022 Alumni Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship is presented to Adam Jacobs. Adam, who tells me he turned 40 last week, and is still shaking about that, I don't know why, is the co-founder of Hatch and the co-founder of The Iconic. The Iconic was created on customer experience, on leadership, and the power of diverse, high-performing teams. The Iconic is now the largest online fashion retailer in Australia. They've won many, many awards. Adam's goal is to create technology companies that help shape positive, values-based societies instead of creating social anxiety and isolation, as you can from fashion. About 5 years ago, Adam co-founded Hatch to connect university students to meaningful paid work while they studied. In 2020, when COVID-19 upturned our society with skyrocketing unemployment, Adam responded by repurposing Hatch's matching technology to launch what was called the Hatch Exchange. And that exchange has helped more than 300 businesses across Australia employ more than 10,000 stood-down staff into new parts of the Australian economy. So would you please congratulate and welcome Adam Jacobs.
Thank you. It's a real honoured to be receiving this award. I'd like to start by thanking the Chancellor, the Vice-Chancellor. I'd like to thank Professor Greg Whitwell, the Dean of the Business School. I think he's here amongst us. His retirement at the end of the year is weighing heavy on my heart. I'd like to thank Christine Brooks and the broader university community. I would like to thank my parents who aren't here tonight, but for sure they're going to be watching the video, so I deeply thank David and Jenny. And I also want to thank my co-founder Chaz, who's here tonight, my Hatch co-founder and the broader Hatch team. They're just as much the recipients of this award as I am. And of course, I'd like to thank Ray Martin. When I graduated 15 years ago, I did not think I would be receiving an award from Ray. I may not be Australia's youngest self-made billionaire, but Ray's worth $1 billion, so I'm pretty happy about that. I am an ex-consultant, so I have a presentation for you. The words innovation and entrepreneurship sit a bit funny with me, and they always have. And I think they sit funny with me because entrepreneurship is a fashionable idea. It's often treated as an end in itself. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you the story of the Hatch Exchange from my perspective as an entrepreneur, to try and share what entrepreneurship actually means to me, and therefore what role I might play in everybody's life. So let's set the scene. Hatch is a company that Chaz and I founded in 2017. As you heard briefly, it matches university students and graduates to work that's a good fit for them. The problem we're trying to solve is when you start out, how do you know what to do with your life? It's probably a question all of us are still thinking many years later as well. It's a jobs website that matches young people to work that could be a good fit for them, no matter what their background is or what their degree is. Just because you studied marketing doesn't mean you should be a marketer. To date, we've placed thousands of young people, here are some of them on the screen, in hundreds of Australian businesses. These are all actually Sydney University graduates, so a lot of fantastic Sydney University students are being placed through Hatch. At the start of 2020, when COVID struck, this business was severely disrupted. Australian employers were not hiring interns and graduates anymore, they were just trying to figure out how to handle COVID. And Chaz and I had a crisis on our hands. We poured a lot of our passion into the company. We had a team of about 20. What were we going to do? How were we going to respond? The conventional wisdom that's told to founders when you have a crisis event like a global pandemic is to conserve cash, to halve your team, to cut your expenses, to do anything you can to conserve all of your cash. Now, we cared deeply about our team. They were putting all of themselves into our mission, and we didn't really want to do that. We also cared deeply about our problem, to help people find work that's a good fit for them, not based on their background, but based on who they are as a person, an individual. So we wanted to think harder about how do we respond in this moment. Fortunately, I had a coffee right at the start of the pandemic with a very wise investor who gave me a gem of advice. And she said, just tomorrow pick up the phone and call your 10 biggest customers. So that's what I did. I spent a day just calling our customers, and very quickly, a pattern and an idea emerged. What we found was half of the economy in Australia were having to rapidly stand down staff. Qantas had to drop 20,000 people. Hotel companies, retailers, tourism, all those industries were crashing to a halt and standing down staff. There was another half of the economy that had to hire very aggressively. Government had to support a lot of activity around COVID. Logistics companies had to reinvent themselves for online delivery because everyone was home. Technology and infrastructure companies had to support a whole new way of working. So the thought came to us, how might we use our technology to help? If you think about all of the people on the left side of the screen, if you think about a cabin crew member, if you think about a retail worker, their income had totally vanished overnight. They had a mortgage, they had financial obligations. Yes, there were government subsidies, but how much could they rely on them? And that cabin crew member may have been doing that job for 10 or 20 years. What else could that person do? So we thought to ourselves, well, we've been placing university students based on their transferable skills and their interests. Why can't we do that for stood-down workers as well? And this thought, it played in my mind on this day. I've got the date on the slide there, the 18th of March, late into the night. And so in the middle of the night, I wrote an article, and the next morning at about 7 o'clock, I posted it on LinkedIn. And the article basically said, we're proposing to totally reinvent our company to support stood-down workers within a 7-day period. If we did that, would you use it? Thousands of people responded to say, yes, please build that, we would use it, and we need it. So that night, Chaz and I had a very late dinner. I think it was now Friday, the 20th of March, and we asked ourselves a question: should we change our company upside down over the next 7 days? And we decided, let's go for it. Those 7 days was pretty hard. I don't know if you've ever tried to completely change a technology organization within a 1 week period, but it's not a breeze. To give you an indication of what it was like for me, this is my niece, Poppy. She turned 2 that weekend after we made the decision. I think we can all agree that Poppy is the most cute 2-year-old in the world. I mean, there's really no dispute in this room about that. And now I want to show you what I looked like at Poppy's birthday party that weekend in the park. This is not me practicing social distancing. This is me on the phone non-stop for a 7-day period, talking to everybody I could, to board members, to CEOs, to chief people officers, to head of HR, to head of any department who needed to redeploy stood down workers. This photo was kindly taken by my brother Tim, who's in the audience, who's very good at keeping you accountable every day of the week, and shared in our family WhatsApp group on the basis of, hey Adam, here's how you spent Poppy's birthday party. It was a tough week, but after 7 days, our team really came together around the goal, and we were able to launch a completely new business, the Hatch Exchange. We posted it on LinkedIn, people started to use it, we kept posting updates about it, more and more people used it. So what were the results? After a month, what we saw were only 4 weeks in, over 300 employers had started to hire over 20,000 stood down workers from the exchange. After that first month, already 1,000 of them had had successful redeployments. And for us as a company, we quadrupled our revenue and doubled our team size, as opposed to having to half it. The stories out of this experience were phenomenal. I mean, there was one Virgin pilot, Josh, who was just feeling so anxious about what he was going to do through COVID. He knew he wouldn't be able to fly for a long time. We redeployed him to running a government contact center with skills he didn't even know he had, and could be deployed in a new way. And all of a sudden, a whole cohort of Australians found that they were adaptive and found that they had new pathways in a moment that was very, very scary for them. As an entrepreneur, I take 2 things away from that about what innovation really is. And I want to share those 2 lessons. And these are lessons that are consistent with my experience both at Hatch, but also at the iconic and disrupting the retail industry. The first is what innovation is. People often think innovation is doing something shiny, something new, something different. I don't think that's true. I think innovation is solving a problem at the right time in a better way. And that problem is usually a human problem. We care about how people find work that's a good fit for them. It just so happened that COVID put new dynamics on the table around what that meant. It meant a lot of people were out of the job and needed to be redeployed. So we solved a real human problem at the right time in a better way than others were doing it. We made it happen within 7 days. The second takeaway is this quote from Steve Jobs that I love to paraphrase, which is, "The world is built by people no smarter than you or I." And what that really says is the status quo is not there for a reason. It's just there. It's just there because it's how we've been doing things so far. And what I've learned is that anyone can change the status quo if you care enough about a problem and you have the bravery to challenge the rules around you. So the thought I'd love to leave you with is, what are the problems that you're very passionate about in your life, and what are the status quos that maybe it's time to break them down and rebuild them? It's something we can all do. Thank you.
Congratulations to our winner of the 2022 Innovative and Entrepreneurship Award, Adam Jacobs. Fantastic. Great stories. I know what you say, Chancellor, that it's the best night of the year for you. They're wonderful stories, aren't they? Well done. All right, 2 more awards. The Alumni Award for Service to Humanity recognises the personal contributions of Sydney University alumni who, through service or philanthropy, improve the lives of those in need. This award recognises the significant involvement of our alumni in projects that enrich local or international communities. The 2022 Alumni Award for Service to Humanity is presented to Jane Sloane. Jane Sloane has worked tirelessly over the last 2 decades to champion and advance women's and girls' human rights around the globe. In her role as Senior Director, women's empowerment and gender equality at the Asia Foundation, Jane devised a program called Accelerate Women's Entrepreneurship. It was designed to support 1 million women entrepreneurs in Asia to gain the support they needed to break free of domestic violence and have the economic freedom to empower themselves and empower their families. In 2013, Jane was recognised in the Australian Financial Review 100 Women of Influence Awards. She was also awarded an Atlantic Fellowship by the Inequalities Institute of the London School of Economics to become a Global Fellow in 2017. Unfortunately, Jane can't be with us tonight, so collecting the award on her behalf is a good friend of mine, an old colleague, Kelly Sloane. We'll play a video and then get Kelly to come up. Have a look at this.
I'd like to thank my beautiful cousin, Kelly Sloane, for accepting this award on my behalf tonight. Instead, I'm here on my small wooden boat here in Sausalito, California, thinking about what an incredible journey I've been on since I did my Master's in Peace and Conflict Studies at the University of Sydney. I remember Arundhati Roy challenging us to be fearless advocates for justice, and Johan Galtung engaging us in a dialogue of how to navigate seemingly intractable conflicts. Since then, I've spent time with women's movements in Lebanon, in the refugee camps there, with some of the women that we supported, some of the 50,000 women we supported to lead the peace process in Mindanao in the Philippines, and more recently with colleagues working to get women and their families out of Afghanistan with the Taliban takeover. With the colliding impacts of COVID-19, climate change and conflict, it's been important to support women's movements and networks to hold ground on human rights so that we don't lose the important gains we've made over the years. The University of Sydney has given me such a strong foundation for my global work for equality. It's given me a place to dream as much as to learn and to believe in the words of Martin Luther King Jr. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Thank you so much for this award.
Congratulations to our winner of the 2022 Service to Humanity Award, Jane Sloane. Kelly Sloane, would you come up, please? Thank you, Kelly, very much. All right, they've all been fantastic. You don't necessarily leave the best to last, but our final Alumni Achievement Award recognises the outstanding achievement made by alumni aged 35 and younger. So probably rules me out, I think, on that one. The 2022 Outstanding Achievement of Young Alumni Award is presented to Dr. Nicole Sibaku. Nicole is a highly talented MD, PhD cancer researcher, currently studying at the University of Oxford. In the last 12 years, her research has been in the field of developing new ways to target aggressive drug-resistant cancers. Nicole has been widely recognised, authoring 22 research publications in high-impact journals around the world and receiving more than 1,000 citations. Extraordinarily, in addition to this research, she has also worked full-time as a ward doctor tending to COVID patients since the outbreak of the pandemic. What a dynamo this woman is. 3 years ago, Nicole was a finalist in the Young Australian of the Year Awards for her remarkable contributions in science and community. In 2017, she was New South Wales Young Woman of the Year in recognition of her volunteer work as a mentor for Aboriginal students. Would you please welcome and congratulate Dr. Nicole Sibaku.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Ray. I'm honoured to be here this evening and grateful to have received this Young Alumni Award. To be considered for this award is such a great honour, so thank you to the Alumni Committee for selecting me. I'm especially grateful to a few amazing people whose support is the reason that I'm up here, especially to Dr. Patrick Johnson, who has supported my cancer research from my very first day in the laboratory through clinical trials and well beyond. As most of you can tell from the program, I've spent many years at the University of Sydney. I completed my bachelor's, my honours, my PhD and my medical degrees here. So thank you to my parents who are here in the audience who have supported me through these 12 years before I ventured off to Oxford University and Royal North Shore Hospital to reluctantly make an income. It is within these walls that I've created my greatest academic achievements, met my closest friends, and have made my fondest memories. Over my years here, I've been so lucky to have role models demonstrate great leadership. These are the people that have brought the best out of me. They've provided an environment that's allowed me to think and be creative. Not only did they help me achieve my professional goals, but I was able to build skills and achieve outcomes in my personal life. My advice to anyone who's still studying here would be take the time to build your friendships and professional networks, because these will last for life. During the early COVID lockdown, I was working in the hospital caring full-time for critically ill COVID patients in the intensive care unit when I developed a severe infection myself. What I didn't know is that as a high-risk exposure, I was precluded from seeking medical attention. I remember opening up the closed radiology department by myself to image my own teeth and sitting on the floor, febrile and crying. When I called Dr. Mohit Talani, who was mentioned earlier this evening, who's a previous alumni winner and a close friend that I made at the university. Within a day, despite the risks, he decided to operate on me. So a big thank you to Mohit, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but is a perfect example of the friendships that this university has brought for me. Lastly, I'd like to thank the university for giving me all of these opportunities. I look forward to my ongoing relationship with the university, as I'm sure I'm not finished here. Thank you.
Congratulations to our winner of the 2022 Outstanding Achievements of Young Alumni Award. Goodness me. Congratulations also to all our amazing winners tonight. We're coming to the close of this big night. It's with pleasure that I now introduce the Vice-Chancellor and the President, Professor Mark Scott Ayer.
Well, thanks, Ray, and can I say at the outset, thanks to you for being such a great MC tonight. We're all thrilled to have you with us, and thanks for your leadership and your continued support for this great university. What a night, and what a happy night it is to celebrate the great achievements of our alumni. It's quite a contrast to my early time starting here at the university. I started here in the middle of the last year. When I arrived, everyone else was leaving. And it was a somewhat empty and forlorn place in my first few months. But it's been wonderful seeing the university spring back to life this year as our students have returned and in-person learning has returned, and the vibrancy that is the University of Sydney has been evident and clear for all who are part of this community. I want to thank Dr. Jodie Lording and the Alumni Council for their wonderful leadership and contribution to the university on an ongoing basis, and particularly their engagement around tonight's great event. And it's extraordinary, I'm sure you feel like me, it's extraordinarily humbling to hear the story of the remarkable focus and achievement of the alumni that we've recognised tonight. And to hear their story about how their time at this university changed their lives, changed their life trajectory and their ambitions, and gave them the skills and the capability and the confidence to go and have such a profound impact on the world. They are a remarkable group of people, and As you study this university and you look at the story of alumni, everywhere we have such talented and gifted alumnus making remarkable contributions. One you'll have heard of recently, most likely, Anthony Albanese, the 8th alumnus to be appointed Prime Minister of Australia. And I'm struck when you hear him talk about his time here at the university. He makes constant reference to the transformational impact that his experience at Sydney played on his life and the life trajectory that then follows. And I know the Chancellor and the Fellows of the Senate and the members of the University Executive who are with us here tonight share my conviction that we want to offer that transformational experience to every student who's studying here at the University of Sydney. We want them to experience what tonight's winners have experienced. The ability to learn so much through their experiences in the classroom here, but to have that University of Sydney experience introduce them to a bigger world. And as it introduces them to a bigger world, our students become bigger and bolder as a consequence of that. And it gives them the skills and the confidence to go and change the world and to show leadership for good, which is the hallmark, we hope, of a University of Sydney education. And what we've really heard tonight through powerful testimony is the story of leadership for good through the work of our graduates here at the university. We're thinking about this a lot at the moment because we're trying to craft our strategic plan here at the university for the next 10 years. We're thinking through what's it going to be like in 2032 and what do we want to be known for? What are we going to invest in now? How are we going to be different to equip future generations of students to exhibit their leadership for good on a fast-changing, highly complex and highly demanding world? And I want to thank the alumni, and because the Alumni and Supporters Census that we've run this year has been a very important input from our graduates, for them to give us understanding and clarity on their perspectives of a University of Sydney education, on their life and their sense of how we need to continue to develop this university to make it robust and flourish in the years ahead. I was delighted to see our 3-year-old award winner here tonight. Because sometimes I think it's when you see a child, you get a sense of the history of this university, but the future potential of this university. I've done my calculations on your son. We're expecting him here in 2035. So we're going to work on a strategy now over the next decade. We think 10 years is a long period of time, but all we're really doing over those 10 years is getting this university ready for the arrival of your son, for his graduation here in the early 2040s, for his recognition and alumni award in 2055, and for the impact that he will have on Australia through the second half of this century. One of the fascinating things I think about this university is we're 170 years old, we have this grand and glorious history, but it's really all about the future. And it's all about how we're going to shape the future of this nation from the education and the opportunities that are offered to our students here. And so we want to be in the transformational business, transforming the lives of the students who study here, shaping the future of the nation by the research that we're doing here on the world's most complex problems. And we want to have a clear sense that we're doing all this for the greater good of this city, this state, this nation, and the contribution that we make to the world. We know we want to be this city's university and the nation's global university, and to draw on all the strength of our history and the vast comprehensive nature of our study and research here to truly deliver leadership for good. So tonight, for me, and I know other members of the university community here, tonight is just a sense of encouragement through the work of our alumni that we're on the right track. You can already see the extraordinary impact of our graduates here that are having in a myriad of different fields, and our commitment to work hard to continue to ensure that every young person who works through our gates has those opportunities to truly receive a great world-class education, that graduate bigger and bolder through their experience here in Sydney and can go on and truly exhibit leadership for good. So I want to thank you for continuing to be part of this university community, for working in partnership with us, for all that we've achieved together in the past and for all we're going to achieve together in the future. And I look forward down the track to sharing with you some of the details of this new strategy, to paint a picture of what the next decade of the university will look like, and then think about what lies beyond that as we truly establish this university as one of the great global universities. And this is a journey that we'll do together. I like the words of the American futurist John Shah, who says, the future's not a place that we're going, it's a place that we're making. And the paths to the future are made, not found. And the process of making them changes both us and our final destination. I look forward to working with you on making the paths to the future here at the University of Sydney. I congratulate all our award winners for their remarkable, distinguished work in their careers thus far, and how proud we are to be in association with you as your graduates of the University of Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, very much indeed. And thank you for signing up the 3-year-old bloke as well. Given the talents of his dad and his mum, I'm sure he should come here, of course. Again, thank you, Chancellor, for inviting me here tonight to be part of a wonderful night. Thanks to the winners as well. Can we a round of applause for our winners again? We'll ask families and friends of winners and people here tonight to go down now and relax and mingle and perhaps have a drink. In the meantime, we'd love to bring our award winners up here with some more photographs with our team, with the university team, and then so if we could have the winners tonight on stage, we'll get the photographs and also a chance while we're having a drink, perhaps for the winners to bring their families up and have photographs done yourselves around here. We'll bring our wonderful band back, the KG Trio, to perform. Thank you again. Have a lovely evening.